The skies above America just changed forever. On March 21, 2025, while the world watched closely, something extraordinary happened inside the Oval Office. President Donald Trump revealed what many are calling one of the most advanced weapons ever built by human hands, the F-47 fighter jet. A machine so revolutionary, so powerful, that enemies may never even know it's there until it's too late. For nearly 5 years, this aircraft existed in total secrecy. Hidden test flights were already happening while the public had no idea. Elite test pilots were quietly pushing the limits of physics, flying experimental versions that proved the impossible was suddenly possible. Billions of dollars poured into technologies that once sounded like science fiction. And now, for the first time, that curtain of secrecy has been pulled back. Welcome back to the channel, where we uncover the truth behind some of America's most classified military programs. Because the F-47 isn't just another fighter jet, it represents something far bigger. It's America's answer to the rising military power of China and Russia, a next-generation weapon designed to ensure American pilots dominate the skies for decades to come. And the capabilities we're about to reveal might leave you speechless. China has been proudly showing off its new J-36 fighter, claiming it could challenge American air power. Russia says it's developing 6th-generation aircraft that will change the battlefield. But what many people don't realize is that while those announcements were making headlines, America had already been quietly preparing its response. The F-47 doesn't just compete with those threats, it's designed to overwhelm them. And if you're proud of the innovation and technology that keeps American forces ahead of every rival, type "proud" down in the comments below to show support for the men and women who defend the skies every single day. Now let's rewind the clock to where this incredible story really begins. The year was 2014. While most Americans were living their normal lives, something major was starting behind closed doors inside the Pentagon. The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, better known as DARPA, launched a program called the Aerospace Innovation Initiative. On the surface, it looked like another research effort, but in reality, it was the first step toward building the most advanced fighter aircraft in human history. At the time, the U.S. Department of Defense was starting to see a troubling trend. China and Russia were investing heavily in next-generation weapons, new stealth fighters, new missile systems, new ways to challenge American dominance in the skies. Frank Kendall, who was serving as the U.S. Undersecretary of Defense for Acquisition at the time, saw exactly where this race was heading. He understood that standing still wasn't an option. If America wanted to stay ahead, it needed to leap forward, not just improve existing aircraft, but completely reinvent what a fighter jet could be. So he set the wheels in motion for a program that would remain hidden from the world for years. And this is where the story gets truly fascinating. Instead of announcing the project publicly, the Pentagon kept everything in deep secrecy. Behind locked hangar doors and classified test facilities, aerospace giants like Boeing and Lockheed Martin began building experimental aircraft. These weren't simple prototypes sitting on the ground. They were real machines, fully functional aircraft that quietly took to the skies. Some of those test flights began as early as 2019, with additional experimental platforms flying by 2022. Over time, they logged hundreds of flight hours, testing technologies that most countries can only imagine. Think about that for a moment. While China was unveiling new jets at air shows, and Russia was making bold claims about future aircraft, American engineers and test pilots were already flying the future in total silence. These experimental aircraft were proving that the next generation of air combat had already begun. But building the F-47 wasn't just a technological challenge. It was also a fierce competition between some of the most powerful aerospace companies in the world. 3 giants stepped forward, each determined to shape the future of American air power: Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and Northrop Grumman. Each company brought decades of experience, cutting-edge research, and billions of dollars in innovation. Lockheed Martin had already built 2 of the most legendary fighters in history, the F-22 Raptor and the F-35 Lightning II, giving them unmatched experience in stealth and advanced combat systems. But this contract was about more than business or prestige. The winner would design the aircraft that could determine the balance of global air power for the next generation, the fighter that American pilots would rely on
Northrop Grumman had already proven its ability to build cutting-edge aircraft with the stealthy B-21 Raider, a bomber designed to slip through the world's most advanced air defenses. Boeing carried its own legendary history, from the P-51 Mustang that helped win World War II to the undefeated F-15 Eagle, a fighter with one of the most dominant combat records ever. Lockheed Martin brought the experience of building the F-22 Raptor and the F-35 Lightning II, two of the most advanced stealth fighters on Earth. But in 2023, something unexpected happened. Northrop Grumman stepped away from the competition, choosing to focus on other programs. That decision turned the battle for the future of American air power into a head-to-head showdown between Boeing and Lockheed Martin. The prize was enormous, more than $20 billion just to begin development, with hundreds of billions expected over the lifetime of the program. Whoever won wouldn't just build a jet, they would shape American air superiority for the next 50 years. Then the program suddenly hit turbulence. In May 2024, Air Force Secretary Frank Kendall pressed pause on the project after cost estimates started climbing fast. Some projections warned that each F-47 could cost nearly $300 million, almost 3 times the price of an F-35. Critics started asking tough questions. Was this fighter too expensive? Was the technology worth the risk? Could the United States justify such a massive investment? For a moment, it looked like the entire program might stall. But supporters inside the Pentagon argued something important. The threats America faces today are unlike anything in the past. China has been building powerful air defense systems designed specifically to target U.S. aircraft. Their J-20 stealth fighters are already operational, and reports suggested an even more advanced J-36 sixth-generation jet was on the way. Russia, despite the pressures of the war in Ukraine, continues developing advanced systems like the S-400 and S-500, capable of targeting aircraft hundreds of miles away. The message inside the Pentagon was simple: falling behind wasn't an option.
When Donald Trump returned to the presidency in January 2025, one of the biggest decisions on his desk was the future of the next-generation air dominance program. Internal Air Force studies had reached a clear conclusion. There was no real alternative if the United States wanted to maintain control of the skies. Major General Joseph Kunkel, Director of Air Force Force Design, said it plainly. After testing multiple options, NGAD remained the only viable path to guarantee air superiority in future conflicts. General Kenneth Wilsbach added that if China fields sixth-generation fighters, America must have something even more capable ready to counter them. So on March 21, 2025, the decision finally came. In an announcement that sent shockwaves through the defense world, President Trump revealed that Boeing had won the contract. The F-47 program was officially moving forward. America's sixth-generation fighter was no longer a concept, it was becoming reality. And what makes the F-47 so extraordinary is the technology behind it. This isn't just an upgraded version of today's fighters. It represents a completely new class of aircraft designed for the battlefields of the future. Start with stealth. According to Air Force Chief of Staff General David Alvin, the aircraft will have far greater range and more advanced stealth than any fifth-generation fighter. But this stealth isn't just about avoiding radar. It's about disappearing across the entire electromagnetic spectrum. Radar, infrared sensors, electronic detection systems, everything. In simple terms, enemy defenses could struggle to even know the aircraft is there. To hostile radar networks, it may appear as if nothing is flying at all, until the strike has already happened. And that's just the beginning of what this aircraft is capable of.
The F-47 also brings a huge advantage in range and speed. Its combat radius is expected to exceed 1,000 nautical miles, nearly twice the reach of the F-22 Raptor. In simple terms, that means American pilots can strike targets deep inside hostile territory and still return safely to base. It also allows aircraft to operate from bases far away from danger, making them much harder for enemies to target. Speed is another major strength. The F-47 is expected to fly faster than Mach 2, giving it the ability to close in on threats quickly or escape before enemy defenses can react. But the real revolution isn't just speed or stealth, it's how this aircraft fights. The F-47 isn't designed to operate alone. It acts as the command center of an entire aerial team. Each jet will control several AI-powered drones known as collaborative combat aircraft. Imagine an F-47 flying toward enemy territory with 4 autonomous drone wingmen. The pilot doesn't manually control each one. Instead, the aircraft's advanced AI manages the formation, coordinating attacks, sharing sensor data, and reacting to threats in milliseconds. These drones act as force multipliers. They can carry extra weapons, extend radar coverage, jam enemy systems, or even act as decoys. If missiles are fired at the formation, they may strike a drone instead of the manned jet, protecting the pilot while the mission continues. The U.S. Air Force plans to field around 200 F-47 fighters alongside nearly 1,000 of these drones, creating a network of roughly 1,200 interconnected combat aircraft operating together as a single intelligent force. Many people also wondered why Boeing won this massive contract instead of Lockheed Martin, the company behind the F-22 and F-35. The answer lies in strategy as much as technology. According to former Air Force Secretary Frank Kendall, Boeing had stronger incentives to push hard for this program because it had been largely absent from the modern fighter market for decades. Their last major fighter program came through the McDonnell-Douglas merger in 1997. Boeing responded by investing heavily in its defense division, especially its St. Louis facility, where the F-47 will be built. Billions of dollars went into new manufacturing systems and next-generation technologies. Boeing also proposed a concept the Air Force calls built-to-adapt design. Instead of locking the aircraft into a fixed design for decades, the F-47 will be easier to upgrade as new threats and technologies appear. In fact, the Air Force is planning a completely new approach to fighter development. Rather than operating the same aircraft for 40 or 50 years, like the F-15 or F-16, the plan is to introduce new fighter designs roughly every 8 years and replace them after about 16 years. That strategy keeps American technology constantly ahead of rapidly evolving threats. The announcement of the F-47 program immediately sent a powerful signal across the world. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the aircraft sends a clear message to allies that America remains committed to global security, and a warning to adversaries that the United States will continue projecting power for generations. Predictably, China reacted quickly. Just months before the F-47 announcement, videos began circulating online that appeared to show test flights of China's rumored J-36 sixth-generation fighter. Whether those aircraft are fully operational or still experimental remains unclear. But one thing is certain: the race for the future of air dominance has officially begun, and the F-47 may be America's most powerful answer yet.
China's response came quickly. Not long before the F-47 announcement, videos began appearing online showing what looked like test flights of China's J-36 sixth-generation fighter. The message was obvious. China wanted the world to believe it was keeping pace with the United States. But appearance and capability are very different things. While the J-36 may look impressive, experts say it still lacks the deep integration of systems that make the F-47 so dangerous. China's aviation industry has made rapid progress, but much of its development has relied on adapting or copying foreign technologies. The F-47, on the other hand, represents decades of American research, engineering, and innovation, built from the ground up with systems designed specifically for the next generation of warfare. Russia has also made bold claims about its own sixth-generation fighter projects. But the war in Ukraine has exposed serious challenges within Russia's defense industry. Maintaining their current aircraft fleet has proven difficult, making many analysts skeptical that Russia can deliver the kind of advanced aircraft it promises. Beyond the battlefield, the F-47 program is also a major boost for American industry. Boeing's massive production facility in St. Louis has already received more than $1.8 billion in upgrades and expansion to prepare for the project. The program is expected to create hundreds of high-paying engineering and manufacturing jobs while strengthening America's aerospace supply chain. It also restores balance inside the U.S. defense industry. For years, Lockheed Martin dominated the fighter market with the F-22 and F-35. By awarding the F-47 contract to Boeing, the Pentagon ensures that multiple companies remain capable of building advanced combat aircraft. That competition matters. When aerospace giants compete for these massive contracts, they push technology further, build better aircraft, and accelerate innovation. Of course, not everyone supports the program.
Critics point to the enormous price tag and argue that such expensive aircraft may not be the best solution for future conflicts. Estimates suggest the F-47 could cost between $200 and $300 million per aircraft, which is a huge investment for any military platform.
Some analysts argue that large fleets of cheaper aircraft might offer better value than a small number of extremely advanced fighters. Those concerns are valid, but they also miss a key point. The F-47 isn't just a single aircraft. It's the center of an entire network that includes AI-controlled drones, advanced sensors, and powerful data-sharing systems. When you look at the full system working together, the combat capability it delivers is far greater than the aircraft alone. And the alternatives aren't simple. Restarting the F-22 Raptor production line would be incredibly expensive, and while the F-35 is highly capable, it wasn't designed specifically for the pure air superiority mission the F-47 will handle. Meanwhile, China and Russia are building air defense systems designed to counter today's aircraft. The F-47's new technologies aren't luxuries. They may be necessary to maintain air dominance in the future. Looking ahead, the timeline for the F-47 is ambitious but realistic. Boeing aims to conduct the first flight before the end of the decade, with early operational capability expected in the early 2030s, when the aircraft will begin replacing the aging F-22 Raptor fleet. And the F-47 may only be the beginning. Former Air Force Secretary Frank Kendall has hinted that it could be just the first step in a larger family of next-generation air dominance aircraft. This approach allows the Air Force to evolve the design over time, adapting to new technologies and emerging threats. At the same time, the Air Force is heavily investing in the Collaborative Combat Aircraft program, the autonomous drones that will fly alongside the F-47. Companies like General Atomics and Anduril are developing these systems, creating a new era of AI-assisted aerial warfare. Meanwhile, the U.S. Navy is still debating whether to move forward with its own sixth-generation fighter under the FA-XX program. Carrier-based aircraft face unique challenges. They must operate from moving ships, handle rough landings, and survive harsh ocean environments. Those requirements make naval fighters even more complex and expensive. Budget pressures and questions about the future role of aircraft carriers in an era of long-range missiles have created uncertainty around the Navy's plans. But one thing is clear: the arrival of the F-47 is not just about a new fighter jet. It marks the beginning of a new chapter in the global race for air dominance.
The F-47 program is about far more than a new aircraft. It's a clear statement about American priorities and capabilities. By committing to such an ambitious and expensive project, the United States is sending a message to the world: America will not give up control of the skies. For decades, American air superiority has been one of the pillars of global stability. It allows the U.S. to protect allies, respond quickly to crises, and deter nations that might consider aggression. The F-47 is designed to ensure that advantage continues well into the future. At the same time, the program proves that American innovation is still capable of producing technology that leads the world. In an era when some critics claim the United States is losing its edge, the advanced systems behind the F-47 show that when American industry and engineering focus on a challenge, the results can be extraordinary. For allies around the world, the program is also a reassurance. It shows that the United States remains committed to maintaining the strength required to defend international security. There are even discussions that export versions of the F-47 could eventually be offered to trusted allies, though those aircraft would be less advanced than the versions flown by U.S. pilots. In the end, the F-47 represents everything that defines modern American air power. It combines cutting-edge technology with decades of aviation experience, highly trained pilots with revolutionary systems, and a strategic vision designed for the conflicts of tomorrow. When the first F-47 finally takes flight, it won't just be another aircraft in the sky. It will symbolize the determination of a nation that believes in strength as the foundation of peace. It will reassure allies that America stands ready to defend freedom when it's threatened. And it will send a clear message to potential adversaries that American air superiority is not something that can be challenged lightly. The men and women who will fly these aircraft deserve immense respect.
They volunteer to risk their lives in defense of their country, and the F-47 is designed to give them the tools they need to complete their missions and return safely home. Because in the end, this isn't just about a fighter jet, it's about a promise that the United States will continue pushing the limits of technology, continue defending its allies, and continue protecting the skies. The age of sixth-generation air combat has begun, and the F-47 may be leading the charge. If you enjoyed learning about this incredible leap in military aviation, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more deep dives into the technology shaping the future of air power. Your support helps us keep bringing you the stories behind the machines that protect the skies. And remember, the F-47 may only be the beginning of what's coming next.